Hello everyone, it's F&A Gaming back again after years of just not being on the channel. And I know at least I think a year ago I promised you guys a video on Minecraft airplanes. But to begin with, I need to go over a few things. There's more than a few things I need to cover. And this video is really going to be about that. It's not going to be so much about the planes. But I guess I should start with why I was in hiatus for so long. When I started making these videos, I think, or when this sort of idea popped up to me, it was back when I was in Australia over, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. So it's been a while since I began thinking about this. And I had been moving country about every 3 years or so, and it wasn't conducive to making videos. And now I'm somewhere where I'm probably going to be for a little while longer. And that has to do with my mother's job, which is somewhat irrelevant in this, so I'm not going to bring it up too much. And that's why I was moving, because I know people will ask, because I know YouTube, and I know that I'm curious, and it's the kind of thing I would ask. But it was just down to that. I was moving a lot, and so I couldn't make videos in the situation I was in. The channel is now something I want to revisit, now that I have time to do so. And I want to try and somewhat schedule a release pattern. I mean, I'd like to do videos every week, don't get me wrong. I have a feeling that I'm not going to be able to stick to that. I'm getting the feeling that I'm going to have other work as well as this, and some weeks I'll have a video and some I won't, and I can't guarantee that a schedule. But you know what? It probably won't be more than a weekly thing for now. The next thing I kind of wanted to get to was, well, I'm not sure that I'm going to stick to this channel name. I know a lot of people that have been on this channel a while know this name, but I have sort of thought about it, and when I decided that I kind of wanted to revisit this channel and restart the video production, I decided that I'd look up the channel name, because, you know, that's what people do when they want to watch videos from a channel, and I saw that there are a heck of a lot of other channels with similar names that crop up a lot earlier. So I guess that's something you guys can tell me about, whether or not you think I should change the channel name. Yeah, so I imagine you'll all have comments about that. I wanted to bring it around to maybe other content. Now, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do this, but I enjoy playing War Thunder, and I enjoy playing World of Warships. Now, my internet connection has been a little unstable, in the fact that it'll cut in and out, and it's not really conducive to playing an online game like War Thunder or World of Warships. So I might make videos on either of those things. Maybe I won't. Maybe I just won't be able to. But I wanted to put it out there. See what you guys think. Before I get any further, I kind of want to talk about some of the older videos on this channel. I'm sure some of you will have noticed that to your eyes, got rid of the trains videos and the early redstone tutorial that I cringe at. It's terrible, and I kind of feel bad about deleting stuff, but at the same time, it doesn't really reflect the channel I got anymore. I haven't deleted it. I've just put it as unlisted. So I think that will prevent new people from seeking them out. You know, the trains videos, they weren't really related to the focus of this channel, so I've moved them over to their own channel, and maybe I'll get back to them, maybe I won't. The planes videos on Gemini Jets that sort of redirects here, well, they're probably going to cut off for a while. If I do restart that channel, it will solely be on the idea of the history of aircraft and sort of their faults and all the interesting tidbits that accompany them. And finally, I guess it comes down to the cruise ship, the pillar survival, and the piston house. I mean, I'm less into redstone now, so I hope that's a hint for what's going to happen with those things. The redstone type stuff is probably not going to continue. The cruise ship I'd love to do again, but in the same fell swoop that took away all my previous aircraft, I lost my 4-pillar survival world and my cruise ship world. And so I actually no longer have those worlds, and I don't think I'll be making videos on that unless a lot of you decide that you want to see something along those lines. And by a lot of you, I mean like 5, because I know right now the channel isn't too big, but you know, from whoever is watching, I'd love to hear about what you think. So yeah, I had lost actually many aircraft and, well, actually an almost completed airport in that data sort of loss, that poor backup. I want to also, before I go any further on aircraft alone, I want to sort of bring up ZBLDS, which was sort of a very important channel for me because I had always thought about it, and until ZBLDS sort of opened this up to me, I didn't start. And sometimes I can be bad about just starting something. So I'm really grateful for the videos he made, and I do actually, despite everything that I'm going to do now, wish that he'd come back. You know, it's nice to have more than one channel kind of cover this topic. I mean, for a while he was making videos in a 1.5 to 1 scale, I believe it was. But even that I'd like to come back. You know, I'd like to see some of that again, if that's a possibility. You know, he's probably got a busy schedule. He's still doing his gantry thing. But you'll see as I go along in this, a lot of the aircraft design things are influenced by him. So yeah, I want, if there's ever something that you find interesting, I'd say go have a look at his channel, because he's great, and his designs, his models are great. But yeah, so I'm going to go on to aircraft, talking about what aircraft I have. Currently, I have 30 aircraft variants. So that's only like 5 base aircraft, I think. And then with variants of length and wingspan and all that, changing as you go down. And there are about 30 of those. Not all of those will become aircraft that I do liveries for. But, you know, it's enough of a stockpile that I should be able to show you a few videos, you know, regarding aircraft. And I'm going to do this thing where I do a video per skin. So normally Norwegian would get its own video and the model would get its own video. I do a video on this, and then I do a separate video on that and go into detail about Norwegian, their 737 history, and their seating plan and all that. And I'll try and keep it choppy. I'll try and mix it up so it's not one aircraft and then a variant of that aircraft with a different skin and then a variant of that with a different skin. I'll try and go back and forth between aircraft types. This video is on all the 737s for one thing and one thing alone, and that's because I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do with it. I don't know if I'm actually going to use this in my final airport or if I'm just going to delete it, because this is it is in fact the only one that survived my deletion of my world saves. And I no longer have the general idea that I used to the schematic I used to design this, as seen in ZBLDS's tutorial video. And so, well, it does mean that I'm not sure how long for this world these 737s are, because I'm not even sure that they really do look that much like 737s, which does bother me somewhat. There are a few things that you'll see that I'll tell you I've actually changed. One is the engine. I now actually do this where I put polished andesite. When I first made this aircraft, there was no polished andesite, I don't think. Oh no, there must have been, because I used diorite for the wings. So there would have been polished andesite, but I didn't initially use a front edge of polished andesite, and now I've sort of transitioned to doing that. I also use half stone slabs like ZBLDS to do the whole wing structure, and I'm trying to curve it so that it does look like an actual airfoil. I also put in flaps and slats and spoilers and ailerons and all of that into the aircraft design. But well, there's two things. I haven't done that yet for some of my for a good deal of my aircraft, actually, not just my smaller ones. But also I debate whether or not I should do it on narrow body aircraft with such tiny wings, because it'll kind of screw up all the detail. Like, all the details of the slats and flaps is going to get mixed up, and it's not going to look, it'll just look like I've thrown some stone bricks randomly in there into the stone half slabs. So I'm probably not yet decided on that. Another thing that I do that isn't present here is I actually go in and I make it look like a wing. You know, it curves down at the back, and it's rounded at the front as best you can do in Minecraft. But you know, again, my aircraft design has slightly evolved since the beginning of this project. So I guess I'll go into the 737's cockpit and show off what I'm doing for cockpit design. I'm using jump seats. To do jump seats, I'm actually not thinking about it being realistic seating wise, but it does look like a jump seat because it is folded into the wall in the same way. It barely sticks out of the wall that a jump seat would, because jump seats fold away. The main pilot seats, yeah, I mean, it's the best you can sort of do in such a cramped space. I use a redstone repeater for the thrust lever, because it sort of gives that effect of a thrust lever being pushed back and forth. And tripwire hooks for the yoke, because Boeing famously still uses yokes. I think, yeah. Anyway, they still use yokes in their pilot controls. Moving back, you got an empty fuselage with the dark gray carpet, which I use for almost all aircraft, unless the airline is specific about its carpeting color, it's going to be dark gray. And yeah, so that's pretty much that. And if we move on, we get Norwegian. So I guess I haven't really talked about this too much, but Norwegian uses a lot of 737s and 787s. So I'm trying to do them, you know, I figured they should be one of the first airlines I make a 737 of, because of their widespread use of the 737. I mean, it's I think one of their most popular aircraft, and it's a good aircraft for a budget airline. I think. I mean, there are a lot of 737s out there, and I think an Airbus A320 family aircraft is probably just about as good for that task. But you know, there are slightly more 737s. Now, I don't know the exact fact of it all, but I do think with more 737s, there must be more support for them in terms of parts and all that. And there's a good deal of safety that we know is consistent with flying a 737 because they're just so popular. And they fly so often with so few crashes. It's very rarely the 737 that causes the accident. So I guess we'll start with Norwegian. They do a sort of red nose with a blue stripe there. And then if you go back more, it's a mostly white fuselage, but at the back you get an image of a Scandinavian person, essentially, of some notoriety for one reason or another, sort of plastered there with like a light blue fade background, and then the Norwegian colors and the Norwegian, you know, sort of design. Now, I didn't put a person in here for the fact that I am not confident I could fit an accurate drawing of anyone in there. But, you know, if someone wants to have a go at this, I'll probably release just this world with just the 737s. And then back there you have the Ryanair 737. Sorry. I'll go back to the Norwegian first. I'll finish up on this. So before I move on, I want to show you the interior of the 737. So let's start up here. Let's go in through the door. Okay, so you'd enter the aircraft like this, essentially. Go in, and you got the whole aircraft. All the seating. It's one class, it's all economy. And I use the iron blocks for overhead bins. Not my idea, courtesy of ZBLDS. Rear galley. And here's the key thing. Because of some regulations, the gap is actually quite big. And I kind of wanted to try and give some semblance of that. But that does mean the lavatory is one block deep. And the door is actually not flush, which bothers me a bit, but I mean, it's the best I could do and still get this sort of feel. And I know the galley should be facing backwards, not sideways, but it's a compromise I had to make. It should have the same cockpit. You got a forward lavatory here, and no galley in the front. Norwegian actually only has one galley on this aircraft, which is kind of surprising. I'm surprised they don't use the back bulkhead as one of their galleys, like so many other airlines do. Let's see. I need a compass. Okay, so moving on. we have the 737 in the, well, some of the Ryanair colors. I'm probably going to make an actual Ryanair one once I decide whether or not I'm keeping this, or at the very least modify this to look more 737-ish, and so that I have schematics of the actual aircraft. But, you know, I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I'm not there yet, so I'm not going to worry about it too much yet. So, I mean, that's really the basics of it, and I hope this video has sufficiently covered the topics. I know this has been a bit of a long video, but I tried to just incorporate the 737s. And I think I'll throw in a bonus here at the end. In fact, no, I'll do it right now. I'll show you the world where I'm sort of going in and I'm designing all the aircraft. So if I go in here, I'm actually going to face this way because I don't want to show you all the liveries, but I'll give you a basic look at the aircraft. This is the A320 family, that's the 737 family. So here you can see a bit more of the aircraft design, what I'm trying to accomplish with it. Here are some 787s. Moving back, we got some 757s with winglets and without. Going back even further, we got A350s. Cool new aircraft. I'm a fan. I think they're cool. I'm glad that Airbus is making a competitor to Boeing in terms of the 787, which I didn't think they were going to do. But I was wrong, and I'm glad I was, because they do need competition. You got your A320 family Neo, so it's really, because it's really just new engine option, I've decided any winglet aircraft with this type of winglet will be just considered a Neo in my airport. Even though that's not strictly true, there are some CEO, I think, classic engine option aircraft with that. They'll just be called a Neo in my mind. These are all 767s, and I've actually taken the time to designate a cargo variant because I will probably be incorporating a cargo section to my airport, and the 767 is actually surprisingly used more than I thought it would be for cargo. I have not designated a 747 cargo variant though, which I will actually have to do in the end because they are quite popular for that role, which they were originally intended to do as a secondary. Yeah, a whole lot of them. And then we got the A330s. Now you can see that the Airbus aircraft have actually left a little later to do. So that's A340 back here. Now there is a reason. It's not that I don't like Airbus. The main reason is the way they do seating, actually, surprisingly. Because in the back, when they do seating, they go from 4 to 3, and then their 2 outer ones stay as 2. So it's the middle row that shrinks rather than the outer 2, which is somewhat problematic because it shrinks by 1 seat, not 2, which means that the aircraft can be a bit funky to design seating for. But of course, I have all 4 variants of the A340, and back here, I'll let you guess what aircraft I'm building. I'm sure you know. Any of you aircraft buffs will know. But yeah, so that's just a quick bonus. Yeah, no, I thought I'd show you that. And I'll probably go through each of these aircraft more in depth later on. But for now, this is F&A Gaming signing off. Hope to have you coming back to this channel again and watching some more of my videos. Yeah.